What is going on, squad? How are we doing today on this beautiful Victory Monday? SDS squad, drop an SDS in the chat. Let's go. We see you guys. Let's go. Victory Monday in the building. I hope you guys are excited because I'm excited. You want to know why I'm excited? Because the 49ers have a legitimate shot to make the playoffs right now. We talked a little bit about this last night. We're going to get into a little bit today, and we'll definitely touch on specific aspects from the game, but we're going to look at this from multiple different angles. We're going to have high level overviews. We're going to dive deep into certain situations. We're going to look a little bit into the future and all of that good stuff today. We are going to do it all. But Bryant, he's got the idea. It's one game at a time, 100%. And it's kind of like we're essentially working with, as you know, the 49ers and fans of the 49ers, it's kind of like a one-game playoff from here on out. And I'm here for it. I am absolutely here for it. Oh, here we go. We got an SDS joke. Monday trivia from Niner Empire says, Monday trivia, what does Yeast and Ayuk have in common? They rise. Let's go. I loved it. I love that very much. That was great. That was prime content right there. That was beautiful. Great commenting. Super great. I love that. Like yeast, we rise. Cap knows what's good. Sean, what's good, family? We see you guys. Obviously, we have ATL in the building. They will be coming to Santa Clara to give us their best test because guess what? They're just as hungry as we are. Those Falcons, man, they got a shot at the playoffs too. And with how they have their last couple years have gone, especially since the Super Bowl collapse, they want nothing more than to give their fan base a glimpse of hope, at least, and get them into the playoffs. So it's going to be a big, big test, and we're absolutely going to touch on it a little bit, and we're absolutely going to get to the Falcons for sure. But right now, it's Victory Monday. You know the vibes. It's beautiful out here. We're posting positive content up and down the Twitter sphere, Instagram, Facebook. It doesn't matter. We're dropping all kinds of content today. So I did want to talk to you guys, though. We're going to keep this interactive show. I'm going to let you guys drive who specifically we talk about and or situations that you'd like to talk about. And then we will deep dive into them and break them down one by one. But this is going to be fan-driven show. You guys have the opportunity to drop anything that you guys want to talk about in the chat, and we'll pull them up and we'll dive deep. So anything that you guys want to talk about specifically, please let me know, and we will get to the bottom of it. The 49ers will make the playoffs and lose to Big D. Okay, Rudy, nice to have you. Thank you for watching. Fabian says it's a great Monday. Let's go Niners and let's win out, baby. Let's prove it to ourselves. We can do this. I believe. Go Niners. And guess what? I think they believe too. And shout out to Juwan Jennings. This is a good spot to start. Now, Juwan Jennings, you know, he had the really nice catch on that last drive, right? Heading for the game winner and all that good stuff. This absolutely beautiful throw from Jimmy Garoppolo to be able to hit a back shoulder to Juwan Jennings streaking down the right sideline. Juwan Jennings went up, makes a beautiful high point catch, snags that thing and brings it down. It was absolutely phenomenal to watch. But one of the things that I think Juwan Jennings needs to get continued praise for over and over and over again is his blocking and his willingness to block. Jawan Jennings was a huge reason why the Ayuk touchdown sprung at the end. He was blocking all the way downfield and allowed Brandon Ayuk just to get enough of an angle to keep his feet in bounds and reach the ball across the plane. Without Jawan Jennings blocking downfield, we know football is a game of inches. I know it's said as, almost like a cliche at points, but it's 100% reality. And so with Jawan has been fantastic for the 49ers. He's been beautiful. He's been great. And it's not like in crazy huge moments where he's having these 3 touchdown games, throwing up over 100 yards receiving. His spots in which he's performing are, they might be few and far in between, but when he shows up, he's showing up at a huge level. So Jawan Jennings deserves a lot of credit. He deserves a lot of praise for how he's played all year. His blocking has shown up on multiple occasions in regards to touchdowns. So Jawan Jennings has been fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Let's see. Jawan Jennings even got a pancake block on the Deebo Samuel touchdown down the right side. So Jawan Jennings has been insane. He's been crazy. It's been a lot of fun. Long Joshua says, SDS, great victory. It doesn't get any easier. No, it gets harder. But, yep, the blocking from Jawan Jennings has been phenomenal. He's really kind of that big slot role that Sanu was holding down. And I think Sanu was getting the playing time. He's a veteran. He performed really well throughout camp, came in at great shape. But since Sanu has gone to IR, Jawan Jennings has stepped into a much-needed role and has been fantastic. And one of the reasons why he keeps seeing the field, the blocking. The freaking blocking. It's absolutely beautiful. The Jimmy haters must be furious this week. Hey, there's a lot of people that are furious this week, but guess what? The Sourdough Squad is elated. We're ecstatic. We're very excited. There's nothing to be too upset about. And Cap, we can also talk about how you should like this video. You should like this video, get it up into that algorithm, do all the things that you guys do and supporting the page. We really, really appreciate it, especially on this Victory Monday. What's good, Travis, my guy? Oh yeah, we gotta get God, I still gotta do that video. My guy Travis dropped that G Kettle slapper. Let them know where they can find it, Travis. I'll pull it up. But man, it was a great game, and I hope we get more from Jennings. I absolutely do. Bryant wants to talk about Robbie Gould. Okay, we can go to Robbie Gould. Robbie Gould is I can't wait. I cannot wait for the State of the Franchise episode with Jason Aponte. Jason Aponte is the leader in specialists don't matter in regards to paying them. And I think what Robbie Gould is doing is kind of proving the point in a sense, because Robbie Gould, I know you guys remember. I know you guys remember the holdout situation. I know you guys remember him like flirting with the Chicago Bears and going back to Chicago during the entire holdout and all that kind of stuff. And then to get paid the contract that he got paid, let's be honest, it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, not just because of how it was managed from the whole holdout situation, but they paid a kicker. They paid a kicker a lot of money. Lots of money. And typically what we've seen in the NFL, as you've seen across the league, that position is kind of like a revolving door in a sense, where kickers are good for a couple years and then they'll get the yips or they'll start getting soft tissue injuries and they just kind of fall off a cliff in about 2.5 seconds. So unfortunately, now Robbie has dealt with injury this year. We had to bring up Joey Sly, and he had to kick for us for a couple games and do all that good stuff. And Robbie comes back and felt like, Sly was like, okay, maybe we could get Robbie back. But unfortunately, Robbie Gould missing that game winner at the end. Wild, like absolutely wild, because oh boy, they cut out the lights on me. Woo! Cut out the lights. JC came and the lights cut out. JC came and the lights cut out. We were talking about Robbie Gould. But essentially, I think Robbie Gould is, I think he's in every fan's doghouse in a sense, because, fans like to talk about these players' money a lot, right? You'll never hear people talk about other people's money like fans of like football teams. Like, oh man, we love talking about how much money they make, how much money they've been guaranteed, and how they should be performing as a result. We love to do that. But in this instance, it's of course something that we're going to talk about, because do kickers need to, be financially paid the way that Robbie Gould is paid? I think that could be up for debate, because like we talked about, you can find these guys undrafted. You can find these guys literally on their couches. You got guys like Destroying, making YouTube videos, probably could come in and kick in the NFL. So I don't know. It's an interesting situation. Of course, we understand that the 49ers have a high value for specialists. They drafted Mitch Wishnowsky in the 4th round. They paid Robbie Gould a lot of money. And I think it would be safe to say that maybe, with a guy getting, again, I don't like talking about other people's money. But of course, it's going to be something that's discussed here. For a guy carrying a 8 million dead cap hit this year, we got to have him available for every game, and he's got to make the kicks, especially the game winners, especially the ones where you got to have it. So of course, it just puts a bigger microscope on him. Again, Robbie Gould's 39. He's had a great career. He's done a lot of good in this league. I know the human Robbie Gould is held up in high regard in that locker room and amongst, the organization. So that is something, that you have to take into account. But I'm sure 49er fans seeing this guy with the 13 ranked cap hit amongst kickers in the entire NFL have a hard time staying healthy for an entire year and miss big time kicks. I think that's what bothers most people. I think that's what bothers most people. What bothers me the most is just the missed kicks. That's what bothers me the most. What bothers me the most is the missed kicks. Again, because I feel like in my mind, the way I associate the money is that, okay, if we're going to pay someone that amount, then the hope is we're paying them that amount to be automatic. The hope is that, right, we're paying that figure to be automatic. And so when they're not automatic, and especially from a position where that's literally the only thing they do is kick field goals or kick off, whatever, it gets put under a massive microscope, as we know. So it's going to be an interesting situation. Robbie Gould carries a dead cap hit of $5.5 million in 2022. His base salary is going to be $4 million next year. He has a $1.5 million signing bonus. So, I mean, he's getting paid like he's going to be back next year. So it's going to be interesting to see again. I think last time we had Jason Aponte on, I think he said since he's been with the 49ers, I think he's 5 of 12 with kicks past 50 yards. That's alarming. Also, too, the kick that he missed was, I believe, a 47-yarder. So it is what it is. It is what it is. James is like, love how people are saying it's an easy 47-yard kick. What's the big deal? We can go walk out there and do that with no pressure, right? No pressure. No, we get it. It's a lot of pressure. We're not minimizing at all what Robbie Gould does and what his profession is. There's a reason why the 49ers value him and have given him the contract that he had signed, is because they were hoping for some of that automatic, it's like, hey, okay, we paid this position. This position scores a lot of points. We need points, and we need that position to be automatic. It's a position we don't want to worry about. I can understand some of the logic, I guess, that goes into it. Again, we're going to ask Jason Aponte this, and he's going to be like, there's no logic. There's no logic at all. You don't pay kickers. You pay them league minimum. You sign them off, the free agent heap. You identify a nice undrafted free agent kicker coming out of college. Maybe you put them on your practice squad for a year. You develop them, see what they're capable of. But we've seen all kinds of guys just enter the league and ball out. I mean, Young Ho Koo. Like, Young Ho Koo is, considered one of the better kickers. He was picked up off the streets. So I think really when we talk about kickers, Justin Tucker is like the exception to the rule, but not a lot of people are like that. So it is what it is. I get it. I don't want to spend too much time on kickers. But hopefully we'll be okay. Hopefully we'll be okay. Shout out my guy Luke, listening in the background, doing all his tattoo work. We see you, my guy. Oh yes, yeah, I keep forgetting. Luke, I will try to get in those DMs. All right, what else do we want to talk about? I think we've talked about the kicker enough. I think we have absolutely talked about the kicker enough. So again, I want to see what you guys want to talk about. Which player, which situation from the Cincinnati Bengals game do you guys specifically want to talk about and get into? Do we want to talk? How about let's start off with George Kittle? We'll make it easy. We'll start with George Kittle. Let's talk about the maniac. Let's talk about what that sucker has done since his return in week 9. Again, I gotta say this. I have to bring light to it because it pisses me off. Again, I'm biased. I'm 100% biased in the George Kittle topic. I'm the most biased person maybe in 49ers land, because like I said, George Kittle was my favorite player before he was a 49er. And as you can see behind me, I'm a big 49er fan. As you guys know, I'm big into draft. I'm big into scouting. I'm big into blockers. So George Kittle, the 5th round GOAT out of Iowa, my draft crush, that's my boy. Like, that's my dog. Like, George Kittle, like, I will defend that man until the end of time. No one's going to be able to talk me out of it. Again, shout out my boy, Javier Vega. He has the 4th and Goal podcast. When I joined this podcast, he actually asked the question is like, who would you rather pick, Vernon Davis or George Kittle? And he was like, all the chat and everyone was like, oh yeah, Vernon Davis, no question. I'm just like, not for me. For me, it's been George Kittle since day one. But as you guys know, I'm weird about blocking. Like I I elevate blocking ability, of course, being the O-line bias that I have. I just elevate it to such a high level. So with George Kittle, the slander that he received while he was hurt, we heard he got a nickname. He got a nickname. He got George Brittle was his nickname. They start calling him George Brittle. What else did they say? Oh, he's too expensive now. He's too expensive now. We got to trade him. He's too expensive now. Just like, do we just talk to talk these days? Like, we have literally one of the most uniquely gifted players at any position in the NFL, and because he's hurt due to circumstances that are outside of his control, now we're going to come after his neck? Not for me. Not for me. And we keep receipts around here. So we pay attention. We keep track. And so I put this tweet out. I'll actually let's run the interview. Let's run this little clip from this interview. This was on Wednesday, week 9, before the Cardinals game. This was after George Kittle had been out. I think for 4 weeks he had went on the short-term IR, and this is when the 49ers were losing, and everyone came at this man's neck because guess what? It was the fire Shanahan era. It was the cut Jimmy Garoppolo era. It was the start Trey Lance era. It was the start all the rookies era. Everyone was so beside themselves that they didn't even understand how to preface it. They didn't know how to talk about it. And so they just wanted to fire everyone. Well, George Kittle was one of these people that came under massive scrutiny. Again, I see it all. With all the platforms that I run, again, we get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments daily, thousands of comments daily on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. Like, so we see it all. And the narrative around George Kittle over that span of short-term IR, I saw the fan base turn on this man. Imagine calling yourself a 49er fan and turning on this man. That's how I knew this part of this fan base, it is what it is. Like I say, I've been saying it is what it is a lot this year. But part of this fan base, they're just gonna be, they want to be outraged, and they're gonna be outraged about whatever. And if this is a guy that you turned on, you should probably reevaluate your fandom and how you evaluate football. And I just wanted to show this clip. Let's see if we can get the volume going. So I wanted to show this clip because in this tweet, I watched this. It was a Wednesday press conference. It's going to be his first game back against Arizona, week 9. And when I say, George Kittle's my guy, again, I've been scouting this guy since Iowa. He was one of my first player followers on Instagram. He's probably the guy that has interacted and engaged with my count the most out of any 49ers player because we've been there since the jump. So I know this guy. Like, I might not, like, we talk and like we've had experiences and all that kind of stuff, and I'm not gonna pretend like we're best buds or nothing like that. But I watch his press conferences. I've watched his maturation from year 1 to year 4. So I got a pretty good sense about this guy. And so when we see this interview, he was pissed. He was pissed. I'm gonna play it. It's just a little clip. I'm gonna play it, and then we'll keep going.
My injuries were taking a helmet to the kneecap, and I had a broken foot, and then I had a lower body injury this time, and not a single one of those things was from being overly physical or attacking people or truck sticking people or the run game. So I don't really know how to answer that. I'm just going to try to keep being keep being me. And I feel like I do a lot of stuff in the off season, in season. All I care about is, football and making myself available. And, sometimes, football is a violent game and it's very unforgiving and stuff happens and you just got to kind of deal with it and move on to the next play. And Luckily, I get a chance this weekend to go back out there and play football.
That guy in that interview that we just watched, hey, that's not George Kittle. Like, that's not the vibe that George Kittle carries himself with. We see him press conference after press conference. The vibe, energy is always top notch. But during that period, when he was on IR and coming back, you could physically see. Again, my tweet says, I get the sense Kittle is not happy and has a lot to prove. The reason why I put that out and I put that situation out, because this is what George Kittle has done since that tweet, since that interview, since week 9. George Kittle, amongst wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, shout out to Kosh for pulling this all together. His PFF offensive grade, first. PFF receiving grade, first. Touchdowns, first. Yards, second. Yards after catch, first. Yards per route run, second. Missed tackles forced, second. Passer rating when targeted, first. This dude, like, trust me, man. Like, you guys know I scout on the field, I scout off the field. This dude was stewing on all those comments, on all those people victory lapping his injury, enjoying the new nickname that he was dubbed. Oh, trust me, this dude was pissed. And what did he do since then? He's taken over the league. He's had 2 back-to-back, 150-yard receiving games, something I don't think that's ever been done in the NFL. This dude's on a tear. He's absolutely on a tear. And I think what a lot of this has to do, it's two-pronged. He one has to be schemed open. That's a part of it. Shout out to Kyle Shanahan for kind of picking it up a little bit, because let's be honest, they were doubling this guy throughout the majority of the beginning of the year, and there weren't really any counters off of it. And so he was just bottled up for quite a bit. And so what we've seen over these last couple weeks is how they've been able to get him open and scheme him open and give him shots like this against the Jags. Now, even this play, this was a mistake. George lined up on the wrong play here. He talked about this. He's on the wrong side. He just happened to make it work and get the job done. This was supposed to be to Ayuk. You see Ayuk are in the same zone. This is actually, he was out of position, but he still made it work. This guy has been on a completely another level. Again, you guys know I'm going to focus a ton on the blocking. I focus a ton on the blocking, his emphasis to the run game, what he means to the run game. It's next level. It's next level. So this whole conversation that has been sparked because of these last 2 weeks, George Kittle's tight end 1, people are starting to be like, yeah. He's been tight end 1 since week 1. That hasn't changed. He's been tight end 1 since week 1. The way he's been blocking has been next level. No one in the NFL blocks like George Kittle from the tight end position. Gronkowski, okay. Gronkowski in his heyday, 100%. Gronkowski in his heyday, he was legit. We're going to put some respect on that man's name. However, right now, this year, 2021, is you can't question it. Now, thankfully, we have the stats that, you know, a lot of people who need the stats to support arguments can kind of get behind. But let's keep it 100. He's been the best. He's just given the stats to everyone now to kind of back him up for it. And I don't think there's any coincidence, like I said, how he's performed since coming back from injury, the situation with IR, how everything went down, and the energy of this fan base, and how I watched half the fan base flip on this man. How? But in another side of it, I'm kind of thankful. You guys got this guy riled up, because let's be honest. I mean, they call him the Joker for the reason. And I think he's kind of taken on a little bit of that villain role right now. I think he's kind of accepted it. He's kind of accepted it. He understands his fan base. He's watched his fan base turn on one of his boys, Jimmy Garoppolo. He's seen this fan base come after Mike McGlinchey. Guess what? It was his turn. Guess who's next? Fred Warner. So these guys see all this. They see all these comments. They see all the names. They see all the trash talk, because I guarantee you, I'm not talking about the Sourdough Squad. We're built different in the Sourdough Squad. But there are a lot of people who drop into DMs of players and harass them for injuries, for misplays, things like that. So these guys hear it all. So on one hand, we see you. Oh, 100%. I have been on this train since day one. George Kittle is 100%, hands down, significantly the better tight end than Travis Kelce. I'll say it again. And again, I'm big bias. I'm George Kittle bias, but that also means that I've evaluated literally everything George Kittle has ever done, compared it to Travis Kelce, and 100% believe that George Kittle is the better tight end. Again, this is the argument that you make. Anyone who's like, oh, look at his stats. Bruh, did you see what George Kittle did with 3 quarterbacks in 2018 in his second year in the NFL? Dude broke Travis Kelce's record with Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard throwing him the football. Does that help? Does it help that Travis Kelce is in an offense that treats him as a wide receiver one, essentially a big slot, and has, as we know, the next young GOAT at quarterback who can throw the ball and put the ball literally anywhere? And to complement Travis Kelce, he has one of the fastest wide receivers in the league in Tyreek Hill. Before that, they had Kareem Hunt, who at the time was arguably one of the best running backs in the league. So the situations aren't comparable. What Travis Kelce does, although fantastic in the passing game, dude's clamps. The ball touches Travis Kelce's hands, he's catching it. He's coming down with it. Travis Kelce is a phenomenal receiver. He's a contested catch guy. He can do it all. He can get free. He can get open. He's great in the passing game. But that's not how I personally evaluate tight ends. You have to block. Being a tight end means you block. And guess what? George Kittle is not only the best blocking tight end, he's probably the best blocker in the NFL, not named Trent Williams. And the fact that both of those guys are on the same team, the fact that both of those guys line up next to each other and block people, some people don't understand the greatness that we get to watch when Trent Williams and George Kittle double the backer. Again, it's not sexy. It's not pretty unless someone's getting tossed on the ground. But what those two guys do on the edges, unbelievable. Unbelievable. And so, again, we're not slandering Travis. Travis is a great tight end. He's like, he's going to be in that conversation probably with your Tony Gonzalez's, he's Tony Gonzalez, great tight end. Former Cal Bear. Great tight end. Wasn't a dominant blocker. So it is what it is. Like I said, I will defend Kittle till the end of time. He is the best tight end in the NFL. It's not a question. It's not a question. And right now he's proving to you why he is one of the best players in the NFL. And this is it. This is all it is. Again, Kelce is amazing. Kelce, what he does in the receiving game, beautiful. It's great. It's a perfect fit with Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and that offense and what they're trying to accomplish. It's perfect. But guess what? Switch them. Switch them. See what happens. You think Kelsey's going to be blocking on the edge with Trent Williams, and they're going to be creating lanes, and Travis Kelsey's going to be blocking 3 people and creating lanes for our running backs? Is that going to occur? No, it's not. Okay, well, let's put George Kittle and treat him primarily as a wide receiver with Patrick Mahomes. What is Kittle going to do? Oh, Kittle's smashing every record. So again, I'm biased towards Kittle, but facts are facts. Kittle's a better tight end. Yeah. All right, sorry. That was a long rant on George Kittle. Sorry, as you can see, I'm a big Kittle guy. Big Kittle guy. Who else should we talk about? Who else do we want to talk about? Again, this is also another example of what Kittle has done since returning from injury week 9. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. 38 catches since week 9, tied for most amongst all tight ends. 530 yards. That's 120 more than any other tight end. 6 receiving touchdowns, most of any NFL player. And you see those fantasy points. Ooh-wee. Let's go. Ooh, Tom Compton? Let's do it. Let's do Tom Compton. I can do a Tom Compton. We got a little highlight of Tom Compton. Here we go. No, that's Bosa. Tom Compton's right here. All right. So he's a little bit out of the screen, but again, Tom Compton is a huge reason. There he is for setting the edge on the outside. His ability to get out in space and pull in front of these guys and be able to run and block downfield. He did it against the Vikings. Tom Compton, guys, has surprised me. You guys know I'm very critical. You guys know I'm very critical of my offensive linemen. Tom Compton has impressed me immensely with his ability in the run game. In the ability with the run game, I will say, yeah, maybe the 49ers they didn't lose a ton there, like from Mike McGlinchey. They were both performing very well as run blockers. You can see what Tom Compton was doing here to be able to get out in space, get a hat on a DB, have the correct leverage. You see how he had his hips between him and the running back, and Deebo Samuel does the rest and is able to use him and basically tiptoe down the sideline. So from a run blocking perspective, actually pretty good. Not much of a drop-off. The drop-off, however, is in pass blocking. And we knew that. We understood that. It's not his expertise. We've indicated on multiple occasions, especially when the 49ers are in drop-back passing situations, and you understand you have a long developing route, which means so just so you guys know, the average time to block in the NFL is 2.5 seconds. The average time that the quarterback holds the ball across the NFL is 2.5 seconds. I can also confirm to you that when offensive line are told to block, we are told to block for 1 count, 2 count, or 3 count. 1 count, quick pass. 2 count, obviously mid pass, whatever. 3 count, that means get on your damn horse and you're going to have to pass block someone because this is going to be a longer developing play. And that means we need you to hold your ground. Those are the specific types of plays that we see our pass blockers struggle with the most. Again, Daniel Brunskill just went on the Hidden Pearls podcast with George Kittle, his sister and his dad, and they were talking about that. And Brunskill was talking about why it's hard to play guard because he's an undersized guard. He talked about at length how hard it is to keep weight on, how hard it is to go up against stronger interior defensive tackles in one-on-one pass blocking situations because he's undersized. So that's why these guys are struggling in those situations. With Tom Compton, if you have I got to have this, like, we need 15 yards and it's going to all come through the air. Okay. That means we're going to put Tom Compton on an island. Okay. Everyone should be on alert. Tom Compton's on an island, which means that could be that DB or defensive end could be in the 49er, the quarterback's lap really quickly. So how do you counteract that? We throw chips. We have running backs chip. We have tight ends chip. So there are ways to get around it. I haven't really seen them try it too much. Hopefully, they just kind of make that small little adjustment to giving him some help in those situations. And I think we'll see a much better Tom Compton in pass protection. Just a little help, just a little chip. That's all we're asking for. Just a little nudge from a running back, tight end, wide receiver. Go back to the Green Bay game. How did Green Bay neutralize Nick Bosa against a backup left tackle? How did they do that? Do you guys remember? They were throwing chips. They had their wide receivers decleating him because he didn't see it coming. So there are ways that we can scheme around the perceived issue of Tom Compton. So I'm not worried about Tom. Tom has actually given me a level of confidence that I did not have when McGlinchey went down, when Jalen Moore had to slide over to the right. I didn't. But Tom Compton is proving to me that he's capable in the run game. He's good enough in the pass game. We just understand we don't want him on an island. That's it. We just don't want him on an island, and we can help him in that regard. What specifically is his pass blocking issue? So if you go back to the Seahawk game, the safety in which he got kind of bulldozed by Dunlap, that was actually a stunt. You guys know, if you guys watch the channel, you guys know I'm all over these stunts, especially on the right side, because when it was Brunskill and McGlinchey, they didn't lose one stunt all year. Those defensive linemen could not do anything. They would try to crash and loop. They would try to do it all. Brunskill and McGlinchey were automatic. The pass off that they would do, it was just an unspoken understanding of how to work the technique, and they were perfect at it. And so one of the things that we've seen with Jalen Moore and Tom Compton is that the passing of stunts off, they're not that great at it. They are having some struggles with it. So again, the example against the Seahawks, he didn't see the stunt coming. He treated it as if he was on an island. As a result, he stopped his feet. You never stop your feet as an offensive lineman. Ever. Never stop your feet. He stopped his feet, and as a result of stopping his feet, he wasn't in position or able to respond to the bull rush. If he would have kept moving and in his pass set and understanding they were throwing a stunt, he would have been able to pass it off. So he just kind of messed up in that specific situation. The situation here against the Bengals, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I know he got beat pretty good. For whatever reason, I'm blanking on how he got beat. I believe it might have been another stunt. But most of all, like I said, the biggest thing with pass protection and having the technique is you can't stop your feet. The second you stop your feet, you're dead in the water. That's what was happening to Mike McGlinchey in 2020. He kept stopping his feet, and he also kept bringing his feet together. So when you do the two, it's a nightmare. You see what happens. You get the bulldozer effect when you stop your feet and then you bring them together. So overall, though, Tom Compton has been pretty good. Tom Compton has been pretty good. I really, really like it. Oh, let's listen to George Kittle on the refs. I thought this was funny. Let me get this thing going.
I knew he was in. It was fun, too. The ref told me there's a 0% chance he was in. And I was like, I don't know about that one. I wouldn't say 0. Yeah.
Oh, those refs. Those refs have been in their bag lately. I thought that was a lot of That was fun. Harris, appreciate you, man. You have a great rest of your day as well. We're doing the whole Jimmy versus Lance thing. That will never end. It literally will never end. James Vega, let him know. 269 people in here, only 71 likes. Come on, you guys know you're loving this content right now. You guys know you're loving this content. Smash that like button. You know the vibes. Zombie said, what do you think about how Ambry Thomas played? I think he played pretty much about how we kind of anticipated it. I think with Ambry Thomas, again, Jason and I will probably talk about it tomorrow or Wednesday. Jordan Elliott and I will probably talk about it as well. We all watched him at camp. And what you kind of saw was a lot of what we saw in camp. He's just kind of a step behind. I think a lot of how that particularly occurs sometimes is when you're not confident in yourself. You're not confident in your preparation, in your experience, and as a result, you just move slower. Same thing happens with offensive line. I saw someone talking about Aaron Banks. Same thing happens with offensive line. Transition from the NFL or from college to the NFL, it's not easy for everyone. I know there are a lot of guys like Jamar Chase who come in and just ball out. And you're like, well, why can't everyone do that? Well, not everyone's built the same. And so with Ambry Thomas, again, he didn't play in 2020. This football, like he has the athletic traits, and I think they like the traits. But I think he's just having a hard time getting up to speed with like exactly how he should be playing. And so as a result, he's out of position a lot. Hopefully, but I really do like the game plan from the 49ers, specifically D'Amico Ryans, the way they were able to protect him. They did a great job protecting him. I mean, if we think about it and we go back, what was the stat line? It probably wasn't great. What was the stat line? Cincinnati, Bengals, 49ers, Bengals. So from a receiving standpoint, for the Bengals, T. Higgins ended up having a day. A lot of that came towards the end there when they were making their push back for a majority of the game, though. We did a pretty solid job of kind of bottling them up. Obviously, T. Higgins finishes with 114 yards with 5 receptions. Jamar Chase finishes with 5 receptions for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns. But other than that, you got 56 from Uzama on 4. You got 55 from Boyd on 4. You got 22 from P. Ryan on 4. It wasn't crazy. And like I said, it felt like a lot of that production came towards the end. Felt like a lot of production there came towards the end. So it's just tough, man. It's just tough. It's a tough situation. Again, if we're going to talk about, I know a lot of people are going to look at the draft value. Of course I do. I'm a big draft guy. It is what it is. I kind of scratched my head at the pick. I was at the Senior Bowl. I watched Ambry Thomas. Really nothing Ambry did really stood out. I went back and I watched the Senior Bowl again. I watched practices again. After we had drafted him, just wasn't a whole bunch. Just wasn't a whole lot. But again, they see different things. They have access to tape. They're scouting every game and every play. So the hope is with Ambry is that it just slows down for him. The hope for Ambry is that it just slows down for him. Then that's probably going to take some time. It's probably going to take some time. So we just have to be patient. We're going to have to be patient with our secondary as a whole. We have to pray to whichever football gods that you pray to that we do not lose the safeties. We cannot lose Jimmy Ward. We cannot lose Jaquiski Tart at this point. These guys are just too important to the back end of our defense. And yesterday, I think, was a perfect example of why, because of how they schemed it. So they ran a lot of cover two. Which means that those cornerbacks, they're more kind of patrolling the flats. They're more kind of guarding the short area of the field outside the numbers. And so as a result, when you have two elite cover linebackers like Fred Warner and Azeez Al-Shaair, they can manage the middle of the field really well. And then when you have two solid cover guys in the back end like Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tart, Talanoa Hufanga even, they make the middle of the field real ugly. So when we're running lots of cover two, we're keeping the cornerbacks kind of in this area of the field. And then when you have Azeez Al-Shaair, Fred Warner, Jaquiski Tart, and Jimmy Ward just kind of patrolling the main area of the field, and then also kind of patrolling the top zones, and all the deep thirds, then you can hide your cornerbacks a little bit. And I think that's what we did. And I think it was successful. You did see the situation where Ambry Thomas got put on a man-on-man situation, no safety help over the top, and got cooked a little bit. Welcome to the NFL, Rook. It happens. It absolutely happens. But the hope is that the game slows down, and we'll see. I think next year's the year for both the cornerbacks. Appreciate you, Richard. Richard says, "Hey, Brad, gotta go. Thanks for the Monday vibes." You have a great day, Richard. We appreciate you. Yes, and Ambry also owes Bosa a sack. He does. He does. And I think what you don't like, one hands to the face, one illegal hands to the face, we can live with that. It is what it is. The second one, though. Ambry owes Jimmy Ward and Bosa 2 steak dinners at the House of Prime Rib or something. Because of Ambry and his poor hands to the face calls twice, he robbed a sack from Bosa and he robbed an interception from Jimmy Ward. Not the best way to get on your veterans' good side, but they know what it is. And I think one of my favorite things about kind of that situation was how Jimmy Ward spoke on it. He talked about how Jimmy Ward spoke, the way Jimmy Ward brought the perception to the matter. He's like, man, I remember being a rookie. I remember going up against a future Hall of Famer and Brandon Marshall, and I remember getting burned for 3 touchdowns. He's like, I've been there, but look at me now. Just because that's how I started, didn't mean that's where I was going to end up, essentially is what he was saying. And you can keep that same energy with these young guys. And it's just, again, it's important for us to remember that not everyone develops at the same pace. And that's okay. Obviously, at the cornerback position, you would love to get guys that you can plug and play right away. But not everything is created equal. And sometimes it takes time to get your footing. Sometimes it takes a couple years to get comfortable. Just ask Jimmy Ward. So he's a great example of what it can be like when you are over your skis, and how that doesn't mean that's who you are or defines who you are. However, it's just that's your baseline. And as long as you keep getting better, that's how you develop. And that's how you become a player. It takes time sometimes. So with Ambry, just some time. Just some time. I agree. Oh, you're agreeing with me. Sorry. He says, I think he was nervous. Game too fast for him right now, like I said. Yeah, I just think we saw that in training camp. Just felt too fast. Just felt a little too fast. Same thing with Aaron Banks. Same thing with Aaron Banks. I watched Aaron Banks all training camp. I watched Aaron Banks all training camp. And every time the second unit came out, my eyes were on Aaron Banks. That's who I watched. And it was crystal clear. It was a little too fast for him. It was a little too fast for him. Doesn't mean he won't catch up to speed. Just right now, it's a little too fast for him. So the hope is that it slows down, and then we start to see who the player is for real. Brittany says, Brad, we tried to hide our cornerbacks, can hide our right side of the O-line. Some say Jimmy didn't play well, but it's hard with no pass pro. Keep perspective. I was talking about this earlier with Tom Compton. Can you hide your right side? You can. 100% you can. But that's dedicating resources. So that's what we were talking about earlier, is that right now they're not dedicating resources to hide the right side in pass protection. So it's going to take a concerted effort by the coaching staff to keep a running back in to block for the right side. Well, again, and you can do it in a situation where you're only doing that when you are able to identify the defensive front and see that, okay, Brunskill and Compton are in one-on-one situations in a pass protection, in a pass pro situation. So as a result, we can keep a running back in. Running backs always block a gap out. So they're always going to look for interior pressure first from interior blitzes, interior stunts. They're always going to start in the middle because interior pressure ruins any play faster than any edge pressure will. So that's kind of what you just do, honestly, or you use a combo of that. If you want to dedicate a running back to kind of be a little bit more keyed in on the interior, okay, chip with the running back. Or I'm sorry, chip with the tight end, chip with the wide receiver. Give Tom Compton a little help. You can do that. You can scheme that. So it's going to be interesting to see if that's where they actually move towards. I hope so. Because I think Tom Compton and Brunskill, for the most part, they're good at everything else. Brunskill is just dealing with a situation where he's small. And again, when you're in a situation where you're moving backwards and they're moving at you, it's hard to stop guys that are bigger and stronger than you sometimes. So again, I would recommend, if you want to listen to kind of some, they had some really good insight on the Hidden Pearls podcast with Kittle, his sister Emma Kittle, and their dad, and they had Brunskill on, and they talked about that. They talked about the journey of keeping weight on in the NFL as an undersized guy, and all that stuff. It was pretty fascinating. And one thing with, like Brunskill, for example, he knows, he talked about it. I think my biggest takeaway from the interview is he probably preferred to play tackle. I think he would prefer to play tackle. I think that would be his position. I think if you had to ask Daniel Brunskill, again, he didn't say it, but we're good at reading between the lines. I think he would prefer to play tackle. He talked about why. It's because you're on an island, you got a little bit more time. When you move into the interior, you have way less time because the path to the quarterback is so much shorter. So it's a lot harder to pass protect as a guard when you're one-on-one on an island. Machiavelli says, what's the difference between Norman and Thomas? Norman's a veteran and Thomas is a rookie. That's the difference. I thought Josh Norman cleaned it up a little bit. I don't feel like we saw the antics necessarily that we had been seeing from Josh Norman as of late. It felt like a quiet Josh Norman game, which is exactly what I want. So if Norman can go out again, Norman missed tackles. He's not a good tackler. It is what it is, man. Norman, as long as Norman's not creating, as long as he's not creating self-inflicted mistakes, and like dumb plays, then I'm okay with Norman. The reason why I've had such a hard time with Norman is because he's been playing like a knucklehead and acting like a knucklehead in between plays. Not just one game, not just 2 games, not just literally since he's gotten here. And so the fact that we didn't get any antics this week, step in the right direction. But the main difference is one's a veteran who probably wouldn't be playing this year if it wasn't for our injuries, and one's a rookie who didn't play in 2020. So there's a big disparity between the two. Norman theoretically should be better. Norman theoretically should be performing better. But again, there was a reason why he wasn't in any training camp and none of that. I did see that, Brittany. Again, shout out Brittany. Thank you for the contributions. Thank you all you guys who are dropping in super chats. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I saw Warner's reaction when he lost the coin flip. You talked about it after too. He said it's funny. He said he's super competitive about the coin flip. Like he takes it really seriously. And so when he won, like he's got a strategy going into it. And like so when Warner lost, he was upset. He was pissed. Hey, but how good was it to have Fred back, dude? Having Fred and Aziz out there, I mean, I know Aziz got hurt, and we're kind of waiting to see what's going to come out with that in regards to like his, I believe it's his elbow, which I believe already had kind of an issue with. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I'm wondering when they're going to do the Monday press conference. They normally do a Monday call with beat reporters. So that's typically when they'll start to talk about the injuries, but not necessarily seeing anything. So just want to double check really quick. But I did see Warner's reaction. Fred's the man. Fred's the man, dude. And he had a good game. Him and Aziz together, whew, sheesh. They were all over the place. Absolutely. He was absolutely awesome. Yeah, I've talked about this so much on this channel. I've been talking about this since week 1. Since Aziz came out, I think he had like 11 or 12 tackles against Detroit, week 1. I talked about this for the whole time of like we have a baseline GOAT at middle linebacker, and with the emergence of a young player and them playing next to each other, you're going to be able to see how good Aziz Al-Shire really is. And I think we've noticed, like, he's like, Aziz might be having a better year than Fred Warner. But they've both been great. And I agree. They're a different monster. This is like, so Bowman and Willis were like the throwbacks. They were like the throwbacks of that era. Again, that football, guys, that like you can see, like I got the newspaper clipping right behind me. Frank Gore, Vernon Davis, Kaepernick. Oh, that was the last of the old school era of football. Like, and I don't know if a lot of people really kind of like conceptualize that or like, really understand that point of how much the game has changed since the 49ers went to the Super Bowl in 2012, since the roster coaching staff changes in 2014. And, no more Willis, and Willis retired, and Bowman got hurt and just could never really get back. The game has changed immensely. And so Bowman and Willis in today's NFL, they'll be great, right? They'd be good. But one of the reasons why like Aziz and Fred right now are playing so well is what they can do in coverage. Their coverage skills are insane. Now Bowman and Willis, don't challenge those dudes in the run game. Do not. You're gonna lose every time. Hell, even with Aziz and Fred, but Bowman and Willis in that era, perfect. Absolutely perfect for that era. I think Aziz and Fred, they're kind of encapsulate how the position has changed and evolved. Because we're seeing that constantly. We're seeing positionless players more and more. Look at Deebo Samuel. Look at Talanoa Hufanga. Is he a safety? Is he a linebacker? What the hell is he? We're seeing more and more of that because you have to be able to do both things. You have to be able to cover and you have to be able to perform in the run game. So Bowman and Willis, they were capable of covering, but it's not like you're going to go out like we've seen Fred Warner cover Marquise Brown like out of the slot and clamp him. Like, I love those two, Bowman and Willis, but I don't know if they could do that. So again, the eras are much different, but in comparison to their importance, they're getting close to the same conversation. Now, of course, we hold Bowman and Willis in GOAT territory. Fred Warner is entering the conversation. Aziz has arrived at the conversation. So we'll see where they land in about a year or two. But those two are just different. And they were great in their own way. Absolutely great in their own way. Yes, massive individuals. Oh, let's go. We see you checking in from Mexico. Let's go. Aziz trying to get that contract. Hell yeah, he's trying to get paid. Pay Aziz for real, though. And James is 100% right. In this era, you need linebackers like Fred and Aziz. You absolutely need those types of linebackers. 100%. For this exact reason. It's a passing league. They're looking to pass. And with these new kind of running quarterbacks, mobile quarterbacks, you have to be able to move in space. You just have to. Lamar Jackson's, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen's, Kyler Murray's. Like, God, Bowman and Willis would have had fits with Kyler Murray. Let's be honest. How much money will Deebo Bosa cost to resign and when? Ooh, good question. What I'm trying to think. I believe Deebo Samuel was a second round pick in 2019, 2021. I would probably say Deebo, potentially, because Nick Bosa has the 5th-year option available for being a first-round pick. That's a tough question. I'm not going to also pretend like I spend a ton of time on the cap either. I'm trying to just look it up quickly. But I would have to imagine Deebo comes up maybe first because of the fact that Nick has the 5th-year option. So I don't know how they execute that. Exactly. Hey, so this is my whole thing with the whole contract stuff. I went into this offseason terrified. Like, oh, there's no way we're signing Trent Williams. There's no way we're signing K'Wan Williams. There's no way we're signing Kyle Juszczyk. Like, there's no way we're signing Verrett. Like, there's no way. We have $15 million. How are we going to sign all those guys? Parag signed all those guys, plus more. And at the end of it, had more cap space than he had going into it. And I'm just like, this is a perfect example of why I just watch football and I talk about football and really try not to get too crazy with the contract stuff because, again, it's timing. Deebo Samuel still has one more year on his deal. He's slated to get a base salary around $2 million. So it's going to be interesting. I would imagine the 49ers are going to want to see 2 years back to back of this type of production. Again, we had Debo kind of come on late in 2019, got hurt and was pretty much hurt all of 2020, but there's just a lot of back and forth. 2021, of course, having this insane year. I would imagine they're probably going to want to see one more year. Let's see one more year of Deebo Samuel, what he could do, and then we'll put together a deal. Like I said with Nick Bosa, he's got the additional 2022 year plus fifth year option in 2023. If they can push that deal out, Bosa's deal out. Now, it's a double-edged sword because although the cap is going up and continuing to go up, which means you're going to have more money to play with, those defensive ends and their going rate is only going to get more and more and more expensive. So I think one of the things that the 49ers are going to have to decide, right, is kind of the same situation with Jimmy Garoppolo when they paid Jimmy Garoppolo. They paid Jimmy Garoppolo because they knew in 2 years that his deal would be middle of the pack, even though that when they paid him in that moment, it was the number one, most a quarterback had ever been paid. The reason they did it is because they had such an abundance of cap space in 2017 going into 2018 that they could front load the deal. And if they could front load the deal, that would make the cap hit much smaller on the back end. And so they were doing the manipulation of the roster and the cap and all that kind of stuff. So the same thing's going to come into play with Deebo Samuel and Nick Bosa. How are they going to manipulate it? Do they want to pay Bosa now at this rate and get him on a cheaper deal now than what it would cost to extend him in 2 years from now? We'll see. So, but like we talked about, that's for Parag. That's absolutely a Parag question. Does Jimmy G have any value at this point? Yes. Jimmy Garoppolo has value at this point. And you can already see how they're continuing to take advantage of that value. You can see how they're taking advantage. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. You can see right now how they are taking advantage of the spikes in value. You've noticed that when the 49ers are winning, a specific reporter who's tied very closely to the 49ers front office, that being Peter King. Again, for reference, Peter King was in the war room with the 49ers in 2017, their very first draft. Exclusive access that no one gets. Peter King got it. So Peter King, John Lynch, the relationship. Oh yeah. So the reason why you see it's a trend. It's like clockwork. Jimmy wins. Oh, we don't know if we're going to get rid of Jimmy in 2022. We don't know. Like, why are you even talking about it? Like, just be quiet. But that's the point. That's the point. That's why there's a reason why these narratives come out, because we understand. I've been doing this. I've been doing the content grind since 2017. So I understand narratives. I understand what narratives do. I understand how people manipulate narratives constantly, because guess what? Probably 95% of fans just ingest top level narrative style taglines, headlines. That's what they talk about. You see that headline? They said they're going to keep Jimmy Garoppolo 2022. Guarantee you 95% of those people don't even click on the article. I mean, there's a reason why 267 of you are in this live right now. And because we're going deep, we're diving deep, we're breaking everything down. Not everyone is built like that. Not everyone who's a fan of the 49ers cares that much. You guys are different. The Sourdough Squad, different. We're built different. But we also understand that it's a trend, and just follow the trends. And with the trends, everything again comes back to building up Jimmy Garoppolo's value. The 49ers had been literally, like, you could take how the 49ers, and when and if they eventually do trade Jimmy Garoppolo, this situation, you could probably teach in economics classes. Like if a professor wanted to be able to use a tangible situation and how to manage the ever-changing markets and supply and demand models, all this is just, it's literally economics class. So every time Jimmy peaks his value, notice the conversations that follow. Every time his value dips, notice the conversations that follow. That's all it is. That's all it is. And so when 2022 rolls around, and guess what they're going to be talking about this offseason? Greg Papa talked about it today on the radio. Greg Papa talked about it on KNBR. You know what Greg Papa said? Greg Papa said, I don't think Trey Lance is ready. Mm-hmm. Sure. He's not ready. So might want to keep Jimmy Garoppolo. It's narratives. How to manipulate media, how to manipulate messages. Because guess what? If you get enough people believing, oh, the 49ers are going to keep Jimmy Garoppolo, well, someone wants him, then you're going to have to pay top dollar. Makes sense, right? Makes sense. And if it doesn't work out, we've seen the 49ers stick to their word and just keep the guy around. So they're playing the long game. We advised about not playing the long game because, again, I was like, it's going to destroy the locker room. It's going to be a disaster. The fan base can't handle it. They don't care. They want to get their max value. And clearly their reports came out that the 49ers were offered a third-round pick by the trade deadline. If the 49ers were offered a third-round pick at the trade deadline with how Jimmy Garoppolo was playing at that point, imagine if Jimmy Garoppolo gets them into the playoffs. Oh, he's not worth a third-rounder anymore. We're talking back to first-round territory. Again, quarterbacks don't grow on trees, and our perception of our quarterback is much different than anyone who is not in this fan base. Now, again, people watch, they see the ups and the downs, but our perception, we're built different as this fan base. So in regards to the original question, does Jimmy have any more value at this point? And every game that he wins, is the value is going to just continue to rise. Continue to rise. And again, the messages, oh, we got a third round. We got a third rounder. At the trade deadline, when he was playing like not good, like by all accounts, it sounds like Trey Lance would have started that Colts game if he was healthy. So again, the business of football is at play whenever you hear those conversations. Whenever they're talking about player movement, just pay attention. Exactly. That's why we got the tinfoil hat. Tinfoil hat protects us. Keep that thing on me at all times. And it is what it is. We just take it in stride. We don't have to believe everything we hear and see. And there's a lot of power that goes to you when you move through life, not just football and what we're talking about, just move through life that way. So it is what it is. What are we going to talk about? What else do you want, guys? You guys have been doing good with the questions. The questions have been fire. Drop more questions. Like yeast, Jimmy's stock rises. Facts. Bro, I'm telling you. Oh, I skipped your super chat. Sorry. Did I? I did. My bad. Sorry. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you for reminding me. Brittany Brown says TD INT ratio is Jimmy G 7 to 18. Kyler Murray 9 to 7. G has value. I hear your point. I absolutely hear your point. And that's the thing. Like we've talked about it. We can make a cut up and we can make a highlight of Jimmy Garoppolo that looks great. We can this year. We can make probably a 7-minute long highlight tape of Jimmy Garoppolo making good throws, good decisions, fitting the ball into tight windows, doing all those kinds of things. We can also make a low light as well. So, but like I said, we're living in this world that other people aren't living in. We jump on the timeline day in and day out, and someone's arguing about Jimmy Garoppolo. No one else deals with that. They don't look at Jimmy Garoppolo like we do, like this divisive topic. Like no one else does. It's only us. So when another team is going to come calling and looking for a potential quarterback, they're not going to look at Twitter to see how the Twitter timeline thinks about the quarterback. They don't give a shit. They want a winner. They want someone who's going to win games. Say what you want about Jimmy. He won that game. Say what you want about the drop pick. He still won that game. And that's what Jimmy Garoppolo is at this point. But good point, Brittany. Good point. The point of what she was making was you can see the touchdown to interception ratio between Jimmy Garoppolo and Kyler Murray. And the point is, look at any of these other quarterbacks across the league. Like, there are some guys that are struggling right now. So, Melvin says Jimmy Garoppolo is our quarterback going into next season. I would imagine. Lance not ready, and Shanahan needs to develop a scheme for Lance. It'll be at least 2 more years. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. What I find most interesting, though, about that whole situation and kind of why it is a bit of an overlap, and I think why the 49ers need to get a first rounder for Jimmy Garoppolo is because if you trade multiple future first round picks for a guy to just sit in a year where you need assets to win now, that unfortunately is I'm trying to be careful with how I say this. It would be okay. Hold on one second. I was just going to say it'd be a mismanagement of assets. Like you could have stayed at 12. That opens up another conversation. So that's part of the reason why I think the 49ers need to get a first or at least a second. Oh, starting to get some updates here from Kyle Shanahan. Bear with me. Ambry Thomas is in the concussion protocol. Ambry, oh, thank God. Thank God. Azeez Al-Shaair, guys, breaking news. Azeez Al-Shaair is day today. Woo! I was nervous. I was nervous there for a second. More information. So now it's sounding like Azeez Al-Shaair's day to day. So that's not serious. That's huge. That's infinitely huge for the success of this team. Again, we talked about the issues that we have at cornerback, how they schemed around it and actually did a really good job, and how a lot of that hinged on the middle linebacker play from both Fred Warner and Azeez Al-Shaair. So the fact that both of them are day to day right now is a huge W. I was scared for Azeez. I was you know us. You know us as 49er fans. We've had so many like body blow after body blow of just bad injuries. That it honestly felt like oh god, if we lose Azeez, like our one of our best players on the entire team, like that would be so 49ers. All right, bear with me. I'm gonna get these posts out, and then we'll talk a little bit more. I know there's gonna be a lot more stuff coming in, so I'll keep spitting it out as they keep reporting it. Likely that we do not see D Ford this year. So that is coming out right now. So I know there was some hope for D Ford returning like 2 weeks ago. But the window is closing for his ability to return to IR. And what Kyle's basically saying is that probably not going to have D Ford this year, which is another immense blow. They're paying that guy so much money. 49ers linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair is dealing with a sprained elbow and is considered day to day. Linebacker Fred Warner is what? Again, bear with me. Let me make my posts, and then we'll get back to it. Elbow sprain day to day, ankle sprain. Has a ankle sprain, but not considered serious. D Ford is not expected to return this season from IR. Cornerback Ambry Thomas is in the. I know this is amazing content for you guys. I know it is. I'm sorry. Almost done. Is in the concussion protocol. Okay. 49. Oh, but still, this is dub. This is big win news. This is victory vibes Monday news right here. This is good stuff. Obviously, it hurts to not have D Ford, but we haven't had D Ford all year, so does it hurt? I don't know. I think the D Ford situation hurts the pocketbook more than anything else. On Greenlaw, Dre Greenlaw. So there sounds like Dre Greenlaw isn't going to be returning anytime soon. At least within like the next week or so. So that'll be interesting to follow. Okay, got my Instagram post out. Let me get Twitter out, and then we're back. We're back, baby. We're gonna hat tip Hutchinson. Hutch. Sorry, guys. HC go. All right. We made it. People still around? People still watching? I apologize. I apologize. Sorry. One more tweet. One more tweet. And then we're back. Injury news is a massive W. Facts. All right. So, trying to get back on track. That's absolutely like monumentally positive news. The fact that Aziz is okay. That's huge news that Aziz is okay. All right. From YouTube to Facebook. Oh, we see you. Hey, shout out to any one of you who are watching on like multiple platforms at one time. I know it might sound silly, but it helps us. So we appreciate you guys. Like again, we appreciate anyone who's watching, commenting, liking the videos, subscribing, all that stuff. But like there's some real ones that be watching on multiple platforms. We see you guys. Oh, there's a super chat. Ooh, also too, I am kind of realizing that I kind of miss super chat sometimes. So if I miss your super chat, follow up so I can get it. I don't miss it on purpose. I really don't miss it on purpose. So Sean says, since Lynch and Shanny always draft bus in the first round. Well, dude, is Bosa a bust? We're calling Bosa a bust? I hope not. I think Bosa's been good. Squirrel. Oh, good stuff. I think always is a strong word because again, Bosa is good. But I understand what you're saying. But you're saying since Lynch and Chaney always draft Bus in round 1, that's why they gave them away for Trey. Bosa, oh, you said it right here. Bosa, the only winner, need legit free agent this offseason. I mean, yeah, I think the first draft is one of the hardest ones. I think the first draft is one of the hardest ones to deal with. But to these guys' points, Ayuk is finally coming into his own. And he's been playing at a really high level, had the game winner, and that was like a big reason why he scored was his athletic ability and elite athletic ability, and he showcased that. His ability to push his momentum upfield the way he did from the 5-yard line without drifting out of bounds, that's the elite physicality and physical tools that he brings to the table. That was a perfect example of that. The length that he has, again, the speed, the ability to plant at the 5 and jet upfield, and score that touchdown. That was pretty nice. So I think Ayuk still has growing. Ayuk still has growing to do. But that's only going to be a good thing for the 49ers. So I think we're okay. I think we're okay with that. And with Kinlaw, to Ellis's point, we don't know. Like the injury kind of makes everything look real ugly because, again, when we've seen him play, he's been impactful. Again, I talk about the impact of having a big interior defensive tackle, nose tackle. that helps your linebackers quite a bit. When offensive linemen can't block these guys one-on-one, um, it's tough. It's tough. And it makes it a lot easier for your linebackers to flow, fill holes, um, all that kind of stuff when you have a big body like Kinlaw in the middle. Roster move, the 49ers cut Savion Smith. He was a practice squad guy. He's been called up and down a couple times to the active roster. Nothing crazy. So that move just came through. Yeah, that's about it. That was about it. So the hope is that the biggest thing with Kinlaw, he's just hurt. Because if he was healthy, oh, dude, Kinlaw would be a much needed force for this defensive line. Like, could you imagine Kinlaw like in there with like Armstead and Bosa or whatever, however you want to use them? He would be and DJ. He would just be a force. He'd be a force with those guys, and it's hard. I have a hard time calling a guy a bust until it's when it is revolving injury until like he's not available like at all. He's not on a good track. He's not on a good path. But let's see what 2020 brings. Let's see what 2020 brings. Yeah, I should probably finish reading it first, shouldn't I? Shouldn't I, Chase? I should probably read the whole thing first. Zion would have a longer career if he played football instead. Maybe. I don't know. He's seeming to have a hard time with a non-contact sport staying healthy. So we'll see. Yeah, and this was I blame part of the coaching staff for the initial implementation of Solomon Thomas. Again, you're seeing Solomon Thomas thrive a little bit with the Raiders because they're playing him in position in which he's been successful in. And we drafted an undersized interior nose tackle or 3 tech and thought we could play him at edge and it would be beneficial. Like, come on. Like, I think that's one of the things, like, with this fan base, I think that's one thing that we, like, all agreed on, like, collectively. This fan base doesn't agree on anything, but we all agreed that they played Solomon Thomas out of position. Like, what? And then, again, we know what happened with Solomon off the field. So, like, it was just a really hard situation. And especially when you pass on guys like Deshaun Watson, that's huge. Oh yeah, he had the blocked field goal. He had the interception for a touchdown. He returned it for a touchdown against the New York Giants. His rookie year, there's talent there. You can understand and you can justify why they drafted him. It's the injury that makes it a lot harder. It's the injury that makes it a lot harder. Someone is asking about Norman. Thoughts on Norman? He's exactly what you would expect from a hired mercenary. He's kind of does his own thing a little bit. Kind of wild. He's feels like he's trying to rely on some old athleticism that he used to have and doesn't really have anymore. And he finds himself out of position a lot. Again, my biggest issue with him is his antics, his in-between plays, situation stuff. I just don't think he goes about it the right way. Again, we didn't get anything against the Bengals, so I'll tip my cap to him. He didn't do anything crazy or insane that makes you want to like bang your head against the table. So that's a good start. It's not like he was great as a cornerback. He missed a bunch of tackles. Wasn't great in coverage for the most part. It is what it is. Honestly, if Trey Lance were to start this year, I feel like they would be in a similar situation. It wouldn't look the same, but I think they could have pulled off the same record with Trey Lance. And that's with Trey Lance starting from like training camp. Like if Trey Lance was the starting like quarterback day one of training camp and there was no Jimmy Garoppolo, I absolutely believe that they could very well put up the same record that we're in right now, if not maybe better. Because again, the wildness of Trey Lance, the inexperience, you get through that after about 3 or 4 games. After about 3 or 4 games, then you start to see them settle in typically. Obviously with guys like Trevor Lawrence, you're not seeing them settle in because their entire environment is a disaster. The entire environment is a disaster. So that's why with guys like Trevor Lawrence who have immense talent, when everything is crumbling around them, you can only do so much. With Trey Lance, he would be coming into a system and a continuity that would be very similar to what we're seeing with the Patriots. There's a reason why Mac Jones is having the level of success that he's having. He landed in a spot with continuity with them amongst the coaching staff, amongst the roster, amongst the overall philosophy of the franchise, like very sturdy, much even sturdier than the 49ers. But the 49ers were next best, at least in regards to like overall long-term health. Clearly, those guys have been doing it for like 20 years. We're in year 5. But anyone who says I'm capping clearly didn't watch the Arizona game when he got thrown out to the Wolves against the MVP candidate Kyler Murray, and it still almost got him. So, and that was his first game without any preparation to be the starter for the entire year. You reverse that, you give him an entire offseason to prepare as the starter, get reps with the starters, and then when he plays, it would have been a much different situation. So, no one's capping, my guy. No one's capping. Where I like this, this is why the offseason is going to be fun. This is why this channel is going to be freaking lit this offseason. Like, we thrive off the offseason. This is my rookie year doing like YouTube content, doing lives like this. So it's a bit of a learning experience. But the offseason, we like yeast. We freaking rise in the offseason. Senior Bowl, hopefully get to the combine, hopefully get to the draft. Free agency is going to be nuts with the cap space situation. It's going to raise 26 million. And then on top of that 26 million, if you trade Jimmy, you clear another 26 million. So that's over 50 million in cap space that you could be going into 2022 with. And the 49ers only have 33 players under roster. You trade Jimmy, that's 32. So essentially you have a core group, your Kittles, your use checks, your Trent Williams, your Alex Max, your Debos, your Ayuks, your Fred Warners, your Jimmy Wards, your Bosas. You're going into the year with those core players, but now you have an additional 50 million to play with and build a roster around your potentially new quarterback. So this offseason is going to be insane. I want edge. I want cornerback. That's what I want. Edge cornerback. That's what I want. Edge cornerback guard. Edge cornerback guard. Edge cornerback guard. Center. I want a center. I think Alex Mack has been great, but I want a center of the future. That's what I want. So I want to draft a center or bring in a center, most likely draft. I still would love to see more like a Debo light, if that makes sense, in Kyle's scheme. You know what I mean? Like I really like Demetric Felton because he's kind of a do-it-all kind of guy. He could play running back, he could play wide receiver. Now, obviously, Debo Samuel is doing that. But like I said, a Debo light. Like Debo's like a tank for his size and all the stuff that he does. I feel like they could find like a kind of like dumb, shifty, insanely quick in space. One of those kind of tweener running back wide receivers as that was something that I wanted for the 49ers, and they were like, hey, we already got that. We got Debo. I was like, okay. So there's gonna my laundry list of what we do with the cap space, what we do with the draft picks is going to be immense. So hopefully you guys stick around for that because it's going to be fun. I love talking about all that stuff. Are we arguing about Jimmy Garoppolo in the chat right now? Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't fall into the trap, guys. You guys are better. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't fall into the trap. Don't do it. And we got a Seahawk fan causing some ruckus in the chat. So this is it. Why won't Kyle commit to the run long term? They're stopping the run. They're stopping the run. I'm telling you, losing Mostert is huge. It's huge. Like, and then when you don't, and even with Elijah, man, Elijah still has a way to go. Elijah's been able to produce, but he has a long way to go before he's like at a Mostert level in regards to vision and that kind of stuff. He's been able to. I'll say it like this: Elijah Mitchell's been able to produce despite lacking the vision that he needs. He's almost there. He's there at times. But there's a lot of room for growth. And I think that's the most exciting thing about Elijah is that he can get so much better. But we're also kind of seeing it translate into the run game not working sometimes. Like again, like he had an open lane for a touchdown on that last drive against Seattle. If he cut to the hole to the left, it was blocked beautifully for him. You had Kittle block out, you had Juszczyk block, roll his block, and there's a gap, and it was about 3 yards until a touchdown. But he cut inside and ran into 3 defenders. Those are the types of things where Mostert or the same thing that we're seeing with Debo, and why Debo is having to be used as a running back. The second they see the lanes or the cutbacks, they hit it and they're gone. And that's why they're so explosive. With Elijah, he's still getting up to speed. And so when he's running into the back of our offensive line, we kind of got to bail out of it sometimes. Obviously, he wasn't playing this week, but our running backs were kind of doing the same situation. So that's been part of it. The running backs have been part of it. of why the run game is kind of hit or miss sometimes. So the chat's going crazy. Chat is arguing about Jimmy Garoppolo, or then we have a Seahawks fan. This is true. I know there's a civil war amongst this fan base that will never end because guess what? What you guys don't understand, what you guys don't, or not, I'm not speaking to you directly. I want to make that clear. What a lot of fans don't understand is all this energy between Jimmy, it's all going to transfer to Trey. This same civil war, the same people that are, antagonists and are propping up Trey now, the second Jimmy's out, it's going to flip. Remember the narrative conversation? The narrative will flip. The antagonists who are propping up one despite the other, once the other is gone, they are going to start antagonizing X person. That's just how it works. It's just how it works. So be prepared. Don't bite the bait. You guys are smart. Just don't buy it. Don't take the bait. They got he's like that State Farm ad with that old guy who's like fishing with $1. He's like, oh, you almost had it. You almost had it. Like all this energy with Jimmy is just going to transfer to Trey. Just wait. It already did. We saw it for like a week. And I was like, yep, I saw this coming. And then it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same thing. My guy, you might have said this a while back and I might have missed it. That's my mistake. I will help you out. If you do want to get the beanie, I also got the squad, shout out Residency. They got these like trucker hats now, kind of like the Shanna hat. So it's kind of like the Shanna hat, but we got trucker style. They just sent me this today. Shout out Residency. But you can see we got hella hats. Like we got the white hat. Oh, we're gonna do it. Might as well. You opened me up. So we got to talk about all the Residency stuff now. I don't know who called it out, but someone said they're like, man, when you don't wear the white hat, we lose. And I wore the white hat yesterday because of that, and we won. I'm just saying. So if you do want to get any Residency stuff, Residency beanie, all these Residency hats, like, I mean, you could see I got hats coming out my ears. That's not even Residency. I got Residency under here, more Residency. You can get any of those. They've got other gear too, but that's the website. This promo code works on any product. But funny enough, the white hat, the lucky white hat, we have a special deal, and it did not intend for this to happen at all. But the lucky white hat, if you use this promo code, that's the name of the hat. It's called the Bay. This promo code, you get 35% off. So that's a pretty damn good deal, especially with the hats. They're up there. They're not cheap. But if you want the lucky white, that's the name of it. Website, promo code specifically for the white gets you 35% off. Beanies might be out of stock though. Just a heads up. Yeah, beanies. I think the beanies are sold out. It's Christmas time, so like I said, if you want any of these hats, like, you got to get it in quick because these products, you guys know, all the players wear these hats. All the players wear Rep Residency. Trey Lance, Trent Williams, George Kittle, all of them wear the hats and beanies, so they go fast. And these beanies are sick. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a beanie connoisseur. As you can see, someone was like, man, are you cold? I'm like, no, I'm comfortable. Like, I know a lot of people show up to doing their lives and they're trying to dress all professional and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm just like, you know what? I'm an offensive lineman at heart. I just want to be comfortable. And like this, I'm a mountain guy. Like, stick me in the mountains. Um, this is my vibe. So beanie, hoodie, I'm happy. Brittany says guard Brandon Scherf from Washington football team at 6 mil. Edge Jadeveon Clowney from the Browns at 15 mil. Ooh. Cornerback Stephon Gilmore from the Panthers at 14 mil should be available. I will absolutely take Brandon Scherf at 16 mil. I think he's fire. And I'll ask about the beanies. I see you guys asking about the beanies. I'll ask about the beanies and check on stock. And I'll try to, like, if they get stock, probably before the holiday, I'll let you guys know like right away, because it is one of the most requested products that they have. But back to the question, Brandon Scherf, absolutely would love him. Even at 16 mil, would love him. Jadeveon Clowney at 15 mil, I would rather draft an edge. You might not find that prototypical Jadeveon Clowney-esque body type in round one, but I can find defensive ends late, especially in the second round. There's always going to be a certain style of edge player available in that second round. And if you can find the right one, you can plug them into exactly what we do. So I'd rather go younger there, especially with the thought process of paying Nick soon. So I'm going to give that 15, 16 mil, 18 mil to Nick. I'd rather keep, and then I'd rather go draft a secondary edge player and or try to find a more situational pass rusher. Jadeveon for me is just, I'm over the Jadeveon situation personally. Cornerback Stephon Gilmore at 14 mil, although it would be great, maybe 14 mil for 1 year. I don't think I would want him for multiple year at that cost. That's a lot of money. It's tough because he would be clamps and could absolutely come in right away and be a huge benefit. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So cornerbacks, I would be looking kind of at the secondary market, like a second tier cornerback, because again, look at Emmanuel Mosley. No one's gonna, if you're gonna like tier cornerback groupings, probably if you ask anyone across the NFL, Emmanuel Mosley's probably tier 3, maybe tier 4, but tier 3, solid starter, not number 1 guy, really good number 2 guy. We've seen him be able to be really good number 1 guy. I'm just talking perception across the league. So if we can get another like maybe like a tier 2 guy, I'd be okay with that. I don't need tier 1. I'd rather spend tier 1 money. I'd rather spend tier 1 money on Aziz. I'd rather invest more into the defensive line. Safety is probably going to be something. So I like the breakdown a lot, though, Brittany. That's solid. I like your thought process. But I'm just speaking from my personal thoughts. But all these players are guys that could absolutely benefit the 49ers. Do we resign Laken Tomlinson? At this point, I hope so. Again, like, he's having his best year. And even amongst having his best year, he's not perfect. And that's okay. No one is really perfect other than Trent Williams. He's one of the only perfect, unicorns out there. What is this? 49ers still light. Okay, sorry. I thought something else happened. So Laken Tomlinson's been good for us. I like the combination of Trent and Laken together. I think Trent makes Laken better. I think Trent makes absolutely Laken better. So if you can keep them together, maybe give Laken a 3-year deal. In the range of maybe like $8 million a year, something like that. Again, I'm just going off the top of my head. I'm not going to pretend like I know baseline of what guards are getting paid right now. But that seems fair. I don't think we would have to go over the moon for Laken. I think we'd just show like players have told me in the past, as long as Parag Marate comes correct, I don't see any issues. But yeah, I think going into this year, it would suffice the 49ers to have at least one more year of Laken. Because if you're going to let Brunskill walk, that's a lot of O-line to replace. And you can see, again, some of the issues that we're seeing on the right side is purely due to lack of continuity, lack of those guys not playing all the time together. So that's one of the reasons why I like Trent and Laken together, is because they have been together for 2 years. It'll be 3 years. We're seeing Laken get better in this second year with Trent. I imagine he would even get better next year. Even though he's 29, 30, I would absolutely like to keep Laken for sure. But we'll see. Again, we'll see what the structure is, what he's asking for. I would imagine it's going to be his last deal. So I imagine he could potentially go elsewhere and get paid. So we'll find out. We'll find out. Trent with the rare holding penalty yesterday. That was kind of a whack call. I didn't really like that call. He bodied Hendrickson, though. He bodied him. 100% bodied him. All right. That's probably good for today. 2 hours. I didn't even realize how long I've been just rambling on. That's what happens on Victory Mondays. That's what happens on Victory Mondays when there's like 200 people in here. The chat's vibing. Shout out the chat. Sourdough Squad has been undefeated today. Dude, Sourdough Squad's, I'm telling you. Most underrated group on YouTube. I swear to you. Most underrated group on YouTube. Oh, thank you, Zachary. I appreciate the compliments. That means a lot. I get a lot of negative comments, so we appreciate the good ones. We appreciate them. SDS for life. We see you guys. I did not talk about Jeff Wilson today. Quickly, he had a really good run. He had this great vision. He there's that cutback off Tom Compton's butt. Beautiful vision by Jeff Wilson there. Once Elijah Mitchell gets that vision, Elijah Mitchell is going to be one of the best running backs in the NFL. Bet. Aw. Thank you. Oh, let's go. First timer. Let's go. We see you, my guy. Welcome. And he subbed. It's lit. Let's freaking go. I appreciate you guys as always. The super chats, the subs, the likes. Again, anytime you guys use my promo codes and stuff with residency, every single time you guys are helping me out. Don asked about the beanie. It's from residency. However, they are sold out. So I'm going to go reach out right after this. I'm gonna ask them about stock. They give us a lot of priority. Residency takes care of anyone who orders and uses our hashtag. They put a priority on those orders, something to keep in mind. So like if my followers are ordering and using the promo codes, they're bumping those orders to the front of the line. It's one of our cool partnerships that we have going. And their stock goes quick. So like I said, I'll follow up. I'll try to get an idea of when they'll have more beanies in stock because I actually want more beanies too. So I'm gonna ask, and then I'll come back to you guys tomorrow with that information. Um, Something interesting. I have no idea what's gonna come of it. But I got invited to go to Trent Williams' like private screening of his documentary tonight. It's invite only. I think a lot of the players are going to be there. I have no idea what to expect. So I'm gonna go uh and try my hardest not to fanboy because like I said, it's invite only. So I imagine I'm gonna be there with like all the guys, like, oh look, there's the 49ers O line, there's Trent. Like, I'm just gonna be like, be normal, be a normal person. Don't fanboy the hell out. Like, I got a Trent Williams jersey. Like, Trent Williams is my guy. So I'm just like I'm nervous now talking about it. Like, I don't even know. I'm gonna get content from it, of course. When am I never not getting content? But I'm excited. I'm excited to go watch his documentary. It's about his life and clearly his most recent struggles with I don't remember the exact name of what he had in regards to kind of the situation he had in his head, but he had to have surgery. They told him that like, hey, you're never playing football again, let alone you might die. And the fact that he took 2019 off and has come back and reinserted himself as one of the best offensive linemen to ever play the game. I'm going to try my hardest not to fanboy. I'm gonna try so hard. Like, I don't even know what's gonna, like, I don't even know. And I'm also too, like, even though we do these lives, like, I'm pretty socially awkward person. Like, I'm not like this crazy like outgoing person. I don't walk up to people. I don't mind if you walk up to me at all. I just like I'm kind of awkward person. It is what it is. And so like I just kind of keep to myself. So it's gonna be interesting. It's I'll hopefully have some stories for you guys tomorrow. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's gonna be crazy. Like I said, I don't know what to expect. But I'll guarantee you I'll have some story for tomorrow. So who knows? Maybe I'm gonna meet Trent Williams tonight. I have no idea. It'd be pretty cool. But again, check in tomorrow. Check in tomorrow. Let's go. Let's go. Social anxiety gang. We move like yeast. We rise. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're proud of our we're proud of our shit. It is what it is. So we'll be back tomorrow per usual. Might have Jordan back tomorrow. We're kind of finessing our schedule out. But we'll definitely have some stories from tonight. So until then, again, thank you guys as always for the continued support. Numbers were great today. Super fun on Victory Mondays. And the vibe is up and all that good stuff. So again, shout out to all the new people that have subbed, like Zach. We appreciate you, man. We got new Sourdough Squad members. We got old Sourdough Squad members. We're all just kind of melting together and all that good stuff. I appreciate all the positivity as always. And like yeast, we rise. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a great rest of your night. Peace. Be safe.